Welcoming you to a new episode, Paranormal Trucker. I am PT. With me today is Snowman and Large Marge as usual. And tonight we have a very special guest, our very good friend Firewater. You've heard me tell some of his stories on past episodes, and he constantly maintains email contact with us. And so we are fortunate enough to finally have him on as a guest. How are you doing tonight, Firewater?
Pretty good. How you guys doing tonight?
Very good. So we'll start by kind of letting you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I live down here in Southwest Florida. I've been listening to you ever since you started the podcast. I'm into aviation. I build drain valves, pumps, tanks for aircraft. I'm into anything paranormal, conspiracy theories, any of that kind of stuff,
Good deal. Well, you're an aviation enthusiast, so you're going to fit right in. So tonight's episode is going to be a little different. We're going to have a free topic discussion. We've been on these Michael Sala books for 2 months now, and I believe everybody needs a break. And we're going to try to talk about some other stuff and take a little bit of an intermission with those books because we still have a ton to cover with them. I can see that Firewater is wearing his Paranormal Trucker hat, and we certainly do appreciate that. I wish I could get my co-host to wear theirs, but it is what it is.
Hang on. We'll take care of that right now.
You got the poster up.
Yeah, they got the poster up. I guess that's good enough. But
in front of it.
No, that makes us look more professional.
There.
Makes us look like we've got a radio show. So you say you've been listening to us since the beginning. What is your favorite topic and what is your favorite episode?
Oh man, let's see. I don't know. I mean, there's this because each week is something different and something more brilliant, So it's like every episode's my favorite one. It's like I think this one's great, then I go back and play another one. It's like, well, I like that one too. So there's not really a favorite yet,
Man, that is a good answer.
My head's just swelling. We'll have to make my hat size bigger here. Hang on a minute.
No, we certainly appreciate that. Like I said, you say you are an aviation and you work in the aviation field, so obviously you have to be an aviation enthusiast because I know that type of work it's either a love or hate relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're working in it and you like it, you have to still love it. So you have to be an aviation enthusiast.
Right.
What is your what kind of aircraft are your favorite? Do you like the passenger planes or military craft better?
I like the military craft better because of the technology.
Yeah, definitely. What's your favorite?
Let's see. I got some wrote down.
Good deal.
I like that MQ-25. I think I sent you something about that.
You did. That's pretty neat. That's an unmanned. That's the aerial fueler, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is cool.
The unmanned refueling plane.
Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that the other night.
Yeah, that thing is huge.
Yeah, we do the main engine feed hoses and quick connects for that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so usually, you get these drones that you buy at the store, they just run on battery. That's it,
Yeah.
And then you got these military ones that they take fuel and everything.
Yeah, they're just like real airplanes without people in them.
Right.
It is crazy how far along the drone program has come. Back in the 70s and 80s, they were converting manned aircraft to target drones is pretty much what they were, and they were the they were the Q series then, of course. They still are, but they would paint the wingtips orange and the tail orange, and that's how they practiced dogfighting and stuff for the aviation or the fighter jets. And it breaks my heart to watch the old military footage of that on YouTube because I mean, you're looking at the last of the F4 Phantoms getting just blown out of the sky, you know, and that's probably one of my favorite planes.
But did you know that started during World War II?
No, I didn't know back that far.
They actually would take B-17s, load them with bombs, and they would have a pilot take them off, and then the pilots would bail out, and there'd be another B-17 behind them with a guy with controllers flying the plane.
Oh
And
wow!
they were practicing this, you know, trying to make a flying bomb out of this B-17, and they would crash it into targets. I don't think it really actually went anywhere at that time, but that was the start of that kind of stuff, you know. And I think towards the end of the war, the Germans actually had some missiles, you know, early missiles that they launched off their planes that were radio controlled to guide them to their targets.
Wow. You know, and excuse me, you can still get on YouTube and watch some of the Q series aircraft being blown up, the training footage, I guess. And it's kind of heartbreaking. Like I said, the F4 Phantoms and the where they're kind of this new generation of fighters getting ready to take over. A lot of the F-16s are being used as well, and this is you know I guess this is what the good old days back when I was younger. When I would think of the military mind, I would think F-15, F-16, stuff like that. And now I'm watching these things be phased out, and it's kind of sad, but
Yeah.
Well,
I guess that's progress.
do you know what's amazing though is they've been trying to phase out that A-10 Warhawk now for years.
Oh, they'll never phase that thing out.
They can't find anything to replace it that was as good of design as that.
Yeah, that thing is a tank. They would be crazy to get rid of that. Hey, what are you doing?
A diesel.
What are you doing? I got my Velcro here with me.
Oh,
Okay, you guys are gonna have to talk because I'm
Yeah, he's
I
old.
think he needs his own chair.
yeah,
Yeah.
he really does. You gotta get out. Oh my God, you weigh 1,000 pounds. All right, so kind of moving on there. You said that you had wrote down some of your favorite military aircraft.
Oh yeah.
Talk about some of those.
The new Black Panther.
The new Black Panther. I'm not familiar.
Boeing has all that, but we do the nose wheel steering system for that one, and it looks like an UFO as well when it's flying around.
We'll have to look that up.
yeah.
That one's been reported at, like, people think that's the triangle craft.
Oh yeah.
This Black Panther looks like that in the sky.
Is that the
Wow.
one that looks like a it goes up, but at the butt of it goes up too. It looks like a boomerang. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that the one that looks like a boomerang sort of?
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen a show on that.
The only thing that I'm pulling up here is, oh wait, so this might be it.
Where it should point up in the center.
Yeah, it's see if I can. Does this look familiar?
Is that the Eurofighter?
Well, this when I pulled up Black Panther, when I pull up Boeing Black Panther, this is what comes up.
Oh, maybe that's the one of them. I was thinking of a different one.
No, I'm thinking this might be a video game or something because. Oh well, that's got my interest peaked. I'm gonna have to find this airplane now. So with okay, we'll say all right. So FA-55 Ascender, maybe is this it? Oh well.
No. Nope. B-21's pretty cool though.
B-21.
Yeah, B-21's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's going to be the replacement for the B-2.
Oh yeah. Well,
got-
it looks
got
very
a lot of updated stuff on it.
it looks very close to it. It's just got a lot slimmer, maybe
Mhm.
longer wings. Oh, it's smaller.
Yeah. And we do
Yeah.
the landing fluid gear for that one, the landing gear fluid system,
Wow, that's a very cool airplane.
right? And I didn't know until working there that the wings of the plane were actually the fuel tanks.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That is pretty cool.
no, they put the fuel tanks in the wings on a lot of planes.
Well, they do, but it's very odd to see. I guess the
Commercial
entire,
airlines, they do,
the
don't
entire
they?
wing be the
I
fuel
always
tank.
see them fueling them on the wings.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what it is like it's strange to see the entire wing be the fuel tank.
Well, yeah, probably. Well, you got to look though. There's not a
Space.
whole lot of room on those planes. Even that B-2, we've seen one at
And you have to distribute the weight.
the Air Force Museum,
Yeah.
and they're not
Well,
that big a plane.
The trick with the regulating the fluid on there is they have all these like whole row of these little flappers that goes all the way down, and it's on
Right.
a road. So as the plane moves and shifts, those flappers will control the fluid from sloshing back and forth, so you don't get all that weight distribution.
So it kind of balances the plane as it's flying. Okay.
Mhm.
Very
Something as
cool.
simple as that. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, and as we move forward with all technology and stuff, it's weird how a lot of major components just go back to the simplest design.
Right.
Well, and like we talked about the A-10. I mean, you look at it. I mean, it's a gun with an airplane built around it, and that's basically it. It's just armored up to protect the pilot, and there's nothing fancy in it. Which I'm sure it's been around 50, maybe 60 years now. I guess or close to it. I'm sure they've upgraded it, but it's just just
Yeah,
a simple.
that airplane, over half of that is just the gun.
Yeah. The gun itself about the size of a Volkswagen. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive thing. Now we were talking before we started recording. You have an interesting theory about my favorite topic, MH370, and
Oh,
I'm gonna let you kind of
the Malaysia flight.
I'm gonna let you take the wheel on that one.
Okay. Back in 2014, Obama had a speech on TV that you can still pull up, and Fauci was next to him, and they were talking about needing funding for pandemic research and for viruses that might, outbreaks. And then a couple of months later, that Malaysia flight ended up just disappearing. And my theory is that because it was going over by China, so all those little tiny islands over there, I'm thinking that they landed that plane out there. And my theory is that they use those passengers for testing on the new virus that we end up getting, because in that speech he said within the next 4 to 5 years we'll end up with, we may very well have a new virus out that we won't be able to control. So I'm thinking they worked with Wuhan, with the Chinese government there, to use those passengers as guinea pigs for this virus. And then of course here recently, like we were talking about, they started finding debris of this craft, but no personal items have floated around or anything like that. So
Right, and what you're looking at with the debris is large sections of the wing have survived. Now, of course, if the story holds true that the plane ran out of fuel and they ditched, whatever, it obviously wouldn't shatter if they had a controlled landing. But if it were a high speed crash, you would have very unrecognizable pieces, just small pieces that the wings would shatter. These
right.
are large pieces of the flaps and the ailerons and sections of the wing that are floating up and floating ashore, thousands of miles away from the last supposed known location of this aircraft. And then a few months, maybe a year later, 2 years later, MH17, MH17, another Malaysia flight was supposedly shot down by, I can't remember, was it Ukraine? No, it
It was
wasn't.
over Ukraine.
It was over Ukraine. So
Yeah,
it was
because
supposedly
the
shot
Russians
down.
were trying to invade them at that time.
Yeah.
So
So it was supposedly shot down, and there was a conspiracy theory that that plane was switched, or the MH370 plane was switched with that plane, and that was how they got rid of it. But I don't know. Firewater's theory makes a little more sense. And who knows, that aircraft could have had the first batch of the
H1.
pandemic, yeah, the COVID-19 on it. That they wanted to kind of test and see what it would do to people.
Not only that, but the family members of people that were on that plane had been saying for up to a couple of weeks that their cell phones and stuff were still in service, but nobody would answer. So if that was in a crash, that phone, their personal cell phones would have been destroyed from the
Definitely,
salt water.
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, the impact alone would have. I mean, I've dropped my iPhone before and it completely it's done. I can
Yeah.
imagine falling from 36,000 feet.
Right.
Well, I don't know. If it's kind of like it is around here, though, that even though if your phone is off or it's destroyed or whatever, it's going into their server. So it may still have rang until they shut that off. It may have rang in. You see what I'm saying? Even though the phone might have been destroyed, it would still be ringing, into their server or whatever. I don't know. That's me.
Right.
And I'm not trying to shoot you down, but it's just,
Could be,
that part, somebody might be able to knock that out pretty quick. But that's still pretty interesting because, like I said, that plane, if it would have hit the water at 500-600 mile an hour, there ain't not gonna be a whole lot left of it.
no.
So in order to get those big pieces, they would probably have landed at a very slow rate of speed. And the only thing that may have been torn off the plane would have been the wings. And the rest of the plane sunk. Maybe why they're not getting no luggage and things like that, which they may have got luggage. I don't know what they found. I just read some stuff. They found some wing pieces and things like that. But as far as more debris, that could explain that. If it landed at a slow speed, the wings just come off, and the rest of the plane didn't break up.
In order to have landed at a slow speed, you would have to have a controlled flight into the
not
water.
necessarily what here's I'm being the debunker here. Okay,
Yeah, you are. Go ahead.
What if they had the autopilot on, and this thing just flew till it ran out of gas? It's going to slow down, but that autopilot is going to try to keep it, at a level flight.
Yeah, but it was driving real erratic there.
Well, yeah,
at
first, and then it kind
No,
of flew off.
at the end it started going real erratic.
Yeah,
It was like making sharp turns and stuff.
but
Well, the thing about, and I'm gonna debunk that theory. The thing about that if the aircraft ran out of fuel, there will be no power to the airplane. So you would have to have a controlled flight because a lot of these modern jets, and I think this is an Airbus A330 maybe, 333. Yeah, I think it was a 330. This was a 777. This was a Boeing. So they have a propeller that drops down that will give them very limited controls. That it just windmills into the wind, and it gives you very limited controls. Your hydraulics
for the avionics.
Right, but it does not give you autopilot. That's the problem. If the plane ran out of fuel, you would have to have a control.
Okay, well, you got to think now. A few years ago, there was and I keep wanting to think it's a corporate jet that was flying, and this was in the United States, and they had an issue, lost cabin pressure, and everybody passed out and died.
Yeah.
But the plane flew till it ran out of fuel.
And it spiraled into the ground.
But different type of airplane, and plus that was 20 years ago. You
Yeah,
know?
it was in '99. It was Payne Stewart's airplane.
Yeah.
It was
And like I said, this you know, so you know the technology has changed, and in the bigger commercial jets, I can guarantee you that if that computer is running, that's got it in flight, as long as there's not a gust of wind or something, you know, you don't know what kind of conditions they were flying through. If not, something hadn't knocked it where it couldn't control, you know, regain control or whatever, that plane would have flew level until it hit the water.
well, I understand what you're
You know,
saying.
with no
but
power, it's just like a balsa wood glider. You build one of those, this thing gonna fly until it hits the ground or it hits, you know, if you got everything set just right, it's not going to stall out. It's not going to loop. It's not going to go from side to side. It's going to fly straight, and it will go until it slows down enough that it touches down, or like I said, something gets it and it noses it over or something. It'll crash. It's the same principle.
I understand what you're saying, but a balsa wood glider doesn't have the drag of the engines hanging off the wings either.
Well, and that's true. But you've got to look too. Those fans, once that stops, once those engines stop, or the igniting the fuel or whatever, once they run out of fuel, they're still going to turn because
They're still going to turn, but they're not producing anything.
they're not producing anything. But the air is coming through. You're still going to get more drag. All it's going to do is slow the plane down anymore. But who knows where that plane crashed? It may have gone 1,000 miles before it ran out of fuel.
But it still doesn't change the fact that if you run out of fuel, you have no electronics whatsoever. You have to actually drop that propeller down, and that drives your basic avionics.
That may come down.
Control.
That may come down automatic.
Well, it might, but it doesn't give you autopilot back.
But you know, that may have changed. That may have changed. Oh well.
It may have. Yeah, you're right.
Here.
No, it may have. You're right, but it still doesn't explain the fact why the last signal from the airplane, the engines, the Inmarsat were receiving a signal from this airplane well down below Australia, in the Indian Ocean. Again, there's something weird with the whole story. Now, either the pilot committed mass murder and suicide, or there's more to it, like Firewater suggesting, or it's just a terrible incident, and we have another repeat of a Payne Stewart here, where they lost cabin pressure and everyone eventually died in flight, and the plane just kind of flew its course until it hit the water.
I think it was ball lightning.
Who was the engines on that? Who did the engines belong to?
I don't know. Let me check real quick.
Was that GE?
It's 777. I believe it may have been GE.
Because weren't they playing hardball about releasing the information on those engines because they have a radio frequency and
They built them in
a
Cincinnati.
data log on the engines that communicate back to
It had two Rolls-Royce Trent.
Rolls-Royce, that's what it was.
892 engines.
So they were playing kind of hardball about releasing that info, weren't they, for a while?
Yeah, because it was like 2 or 3 years later before that information came out.
They had to go through a court system, right?
Yeah. And and there is still even in Australia, there is still they're up in arms about it because apparently Malaysia was kind of fighting tooth and nail to keep the story one way, and it's not panning out that way. You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
It's a very strange story. It's very weird, and it's troubling because as a person who flies occasionally, I'd like to know why that airplane went off course. And if it was a pilot thing, then I would like to know why an international carrier hires a pilot that's obviously kind of unstable. And I know there are stressors in everyday life. I mean, every one of us are capable of going off the deep end and doing something stupid. I understand that, but to kill 282 people because you're having a bad day is a bit of a stretch.
Right.
And well, I'm gonna take the start of that with the Obama speech.
Okay.
And what got me thinking about this, when I had COVID, I had to go get my COVID test. When I got my results back, it come back and said it was a test for SARS and all that. Okay, SARS hit back in 2000, something like that.
Yeah, it was
Maybe
earlier.
maybe a little bit later, whatever. But that was kind of a big deal, and it was over in Asia, in China. That's where all this, and it never did really get here.
Isn't it a strand of COVID?
Yes.
So I
Okay.
thought.
And
Yeah.
so then he says that Obama said they're wanting to do research into this stuff. And what
Follow
if
the
they
science.
took this SARS virus and did the gain of function, and that's what COVID is right now. Okay. And here just recently in the news, they had found some evidence that Fauci had actually released money to China. They're doing their best to hush that up.
Yeah.
That lab for gain of function on this virus. So, did this go back to the Obama days, him trying to get money to weaponize a virus? Or, who knows what they're doing?
Possible. It's possible, but here's what kind of stresses me out about the whole situation is why we would give money to a Chinese laboratory to do this. If we were going to try to weaponize a virus ourselves, I understand we don't want to have our hands in the cookie jar, so to speak, saying that we were part of engineering a virus that could kill millions. But why is it that we were giving money to a Chinese laboratory? Was there a plan at some point, or is there a plan still for the United States to pair up with China once this pandemic takes hold and more of the population was supposed to pass away? Was there a greater one world government at work?
Well, and me, that's my conspiracy theory. I think all that was for a one world government. Chinese got what, billion some people. They can't hardly feed themselves right now.
Right.
And
No, that's true.
and so if you turn this thing loose and it gets bad enough that the governments are breaking down and all this, then all of a sudden it makes it easier for one entity to come in and run everything.
Yeah.
Going back to the book, they suppose we've been infiltrated so much that we're not really running our own government. We're not. None of the governments are running themselves. They got people in there influencing the way things are going.
Well, according to Iranian Prime Minister, I can't remember what his title was, but it was a story out of Iran in 2014 that the U.S. government had been infiltrated by a certain group of aliens that were, that's who's running our government. And I look at Nancy Pelosi and people like that, and I say, it's possible. Very terrible human suit.
Right.
Well, yeah, you got to look at that. There's just the stuff that they're trying to pass now over this COVID. Trying to get things through because they knew this was their shot. Once everything kind of got shut down, everything's weakened, and they can get things through that probably people wouldn't even talk to about.
Right.
And that may be, like I said, a conspiracy theory. That these so-called extraterrestrials that are infiltrated into the governments and whatever, they're changing things to work on their agenda. And like I said, the books and stuff that I've been reading and listening to, that's kind of scary because there's a lot of stuff that you see in the news right now that they've been talking about since the 50s and 60s, and this stuff's coming true now.
Yeah.
And it's really weird. Like I said, if half of that stuff that's in those books is true, we're screwed.
Well, and that's what
So I don't know.
That's kind of where I was going with that. Also, was right when you said back to the books, I was going to say back to the books. We were trying to take a break from books, and here we are talking about these
I
damn.
know that, but it's just what got me. I mean, if you've not listened to it, you need to listen to the books and the book about William Tompkins. All the stuff that they talked about back in the day, it's coming to fruition now.
Mhm.
And
All you have to do is read the Bible. to tell
well,
you
that too, and you look at all this stuff that's going on, and then like I said, it's in the Bible. It's actually in what do they call it, the Quran,
Quran,
and
yes.
then and the other religious books. All this stuff's in there.
Yeah.
It's just different names, different characters, but it's all basically the same stuff, and they're telling you about this.
Well, that kind of go. Like I said, we're going back to these books. You got me off my train of thought here. But if you listen to the books, so you read the books, it talks about the slave money magic system is what they call it, which is a really long name. But and I've said this before, if you don't think that you're a slave right now, go to the gas station. Go put $3.50 a gallon for your fuel. Go put $4.50. Hell, in California, it's probably $5-6 a gallon right now, just to get to work, so that they can tax you more, so that they can make you pay more, just so you can go to work. And then forget about it. If you decide you want to go shopping or you want to go on vacation, all that stuff is taxed.
Yep.
Now they want to try to look at. I heard a while back, if you make more than $600 a paycheck or something like that, they want to audit your bank account.
Deposit.
That's insane.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have an audit every week when I get paid. That's stupid. And then by the time you spend that $600, they're gonna hit you again.
Quit bragging over there, money bags.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you got the carbon tax they were talking about too. So
Yeah,
you have to turn in your mileage every month or whatever it was.
Yes.
It's insane. It's absolutely crazy and that's why people say, well, we're not, you guys are kooks to believe that. You're a slave to money, and they've made it this way. They've made it this way so that you have to spend more money just to survive.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay. Well, and there again, you got to look at this too. If we had say we were living in like the Star Trek universe, where they don't have to have money if they don't want to. They can go out there and work and everything. They've got machines that can make anything you need, so you don't really have to go out and work. You just go out and work for the hell of it. And how many people around here do you think would get out and go to work if they didn't have to? This place would shut down in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got to have something to entice them. You need to come to work. We're going to give you a paycheck. That's how things progress. But it would be cool not to have to worry about money. Have me a nice little machine when I got off doing whatever I was doing. That if I wanted to, a new vehicle, whatever, I can go out here and have that machine I want it, and it'll make it for me.
Yeah, that would be nice. I just wish the Matrix would happen so that I could just plug in, not have to worry about stress or any of that. He's growling at me.
Well, you heard that they were trying to that they were already working on the weather, since you mentioned the Matrix.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how you guys got a tornado in the middle of winter,
Right.
and down here we end up 2 weeks later getting 5 touchdowns down here, and it was it's our dry season right now, so we never get tornadoes.
Yes, I've seen that on the news.
Yeah, and
we got the coldest winter days, just out of the blue. Well, I heard that they were talking about blocking out the sun. So I started doing some research, and on Bloomberg.com, I found an article on there where they were talking about blocking out the sun because of climate change and global warming. I'm like, well, that didn't work out so well on Highlander 2, and it didn't work out so well on the Matrix, did it?
Yeah, no, it's not very good. It's not a very good plan.
Well, and here's something else that we were on. Marge and I were on Set Stated podcast, and oh gosh, I can't remember the guy's name. But he was in the military, and we kind of got off on the same subject. And they even mentioned this in the books that once the Air Force kind of got into the secret space program, they were wanting to release everything. And the powers that were in charge actually sent a hurricane and hit the base in Florida that they're based at. Well, we got to talking about HARP, which is that big antenna system up in Alaska, and was actually shooting microwaves up into to try to control weather and stuff like that. And this guy tells us, he goes, yeah, he was in military intelligence, and he said before he left, he had heard the story that there were some really bad forest fires in the western part of the United States, and they were using that to try to send rain there to help with forest fires, and they missed and flooded rivers in the Mississippi Valley. And so I kind of think somebody's trying to control the weather. Now whether they're doing it or not, I don't know. But if they are, somebody needs their ass whipped. Just like this,
Right.
Just because you can do some of that stuff, don't mean you should.
Right.
So I don't know.
Completely agree. Well, to kind of change the subject here, you were talking about Star Trek there a second ago, Dad, and earlier in the week, you and I had a very lengthy conversation about how you old timers don't like the new Star Trek.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Well, elaborate.
Just the people they've got running the shows now. They I get that. They need to try to make it new. Younger kids that are younger people are doing with the way the environment stuff is, they got to have something that looks like have like 10,000 things flying at you at one time to make it exciting, because they can't hold interest or listen to a story.
Yeah, because we all have ADHD now.
And that kills me, because they really get away from it. And then, they got this show on Discovery, and it's supposed to be in back before Kirk and all them was on the Enterprise, and the whole show looks like it's it's some kind of story that somebody was on crack or something wrote. It has nothing to do with Star Trek. They just put some names on it. It was bad, and pretty much all of them have been that way. They kind of went back to, with that Picard series, got it back a little more in line with the old shows. I liked it pretty well, but the rest of them are just terrible.
Well, and going, one of the next gen characters has actually been in the news recently, Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh yeah.
Let's not give her no publicity.
No, that character should have died off in that movie. So
here's the thing: I always liked Whoopi's character on that show, but I don't agree with her politics. And this is a prime example. This is a prime example of you can be you can do your job and have different beliefs, and not everybody has to agree with you. But no, she has been one of the people one of the biggest proponents of cancel culture. I think she should be canceled. Yeah. What's good enough for everyone else is good enough for you.
Exactly. Well,
yeah.
I mean, you look at a lot of these artists. They're famous. They make some good movies, but they think that everybody should listen to what they got to say, and they're an actor. I don't give a two farts what they say.
The thing is, every actor, if you've ever met any actor,
if I like your movies, I'll watch them. If you do the kind of movies I like, I'll watch them. I don't want to hear your politics. Right. I don't care anything about it.
But here's the thing: if you look at every actor, they are nuts in their normal everyday life. They themselves are crazy, and that's what makes them good actors and actresses, because they can adapt and they can be this other personality or persona or whatever they need to be for that movie or that show or whatever. That's what makes them so good at it. We shouldn't listen to them because they're nuts.
Yeah,
they're nuts.
I mean, that's like Tom Cruise. Everybody holler, "Oh, I hate Tom Cruise." Blah blah blah. I don't care what his beliefs are or anything. He makes an entertaining movie. Yeah, I enjoy watching those movies, but I don't care about his politics. I don't care about his religion. I don't want to hear that stuff.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
can't watch
I like
And you know, that's just like
De Niro.
Robert De Niro. I
Talk,
always
talk
like
about
his
a
movies,
disappointment.
and then he gets up there, you know, and is disrespecting the president of the United States.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know,
disappointing.
that was disappointing.
Okay, let's not go into politics.
I don't watch his movies that much, you know, and I like his stuff. But I was, you know,
Okay.
So on the off chance that Whoopi Goldberg is watching this, Whoopi, you were a very good character in Next Generation, and I liked your character in Next Generation.
Now
Please
go
stop.
away.
Please stop. Please stop trying to tell me how to live my life.
yeah,
You are an entertaining actress. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I like the work that you do, but that's it. I don't want to hear your views on anything because you're an actress, and again, like I just said, you're crazy. That's what makes you a good actress.
I concur.
That's what makes you a good actress because you can adapt and be what you need to be for each role that you need to play. I don't want to know your personal life. I don't want to know what your beliefs are because you're an actress. I pay for your entertainment. I don't give a shit what you think about Trump or people who don't believe the same way you do.
No.
All right, there we go. There's my rant.
I'm glad that's over.
No, Large Marge, what have you got for us?
I am going to change the subject completely, and we're going to talk about something interesting. I want to talk about the house that I grew up in that was completely haunted. And I want to give you a little history on where it's at and just tell a nice little story. I was born and raised in a little river town on the Ohio River named Ludlow. It's right across from Cincinnati, up next to Covington, in that area. And the house that I grew up in was right on the river. The river was my backyard. So the little town that I grew up in was certified as a city in 1862. So it would have been right at the height of the Civil War and all that stuff. Well, underneath our town, tunnels were discovered where the Underground Railroad went, and it actually went under the river and took the slaves over to Cincinnati to freedom. Well, the house that I grew up in, one of the reasons we found out that it was built on top of one of these tunnels was I had gotten a dog one time and he kept digging in this one spot in the yard and we couldn't get him to quit digging. And finally, he dug all the way down. We tried putting chain link fence piece on top. We put rocks. We did everything. He just kept digging. Well, one day my mom goes out there and tries to throw some rocks down there to fill the hole in, and you could hear water splash. So we called the city. The city came down and dug a big part of the yard up, and here it was part of the Underground Railroad. It ran underneath our home. So I think that has to do with the history of that town, and there was so much history there, and there were so many things that happened in that house. And let's see, I'll just pull one out. Let's see. Well, I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. When we were moving, the city bought our house because they wanted to develop the river. So they bought our house, and we did not want to sell. We were pretty much forced out. So it was a bad situation. So the night before we moved, we stayed in the house that night, and then the next morning we got up to move out just a few things that we had left in there. And there were 4 big, huge trees that lined the right side of the property. And then there was an empty lot next door to us. And we didn't have any storms. It was in the middle of summer, nothing. We get up the next morning and all 4 of them trees had fell over and were laying in the lot next door, and the root systems were sticking up out of the ground. So the city had to come down and move all that too. That's just some of the stories, but I believe totally in ghosts, apparitions, the paranormal, until somebody proves to me 100% it's not true, I am a true believer. And I love talking to other like-minded people that believe in that stuff. Because I grew up, we called, my dad was German, so we called whatever this was Hank. Every time we'd hear a noise or something, Dad'd say, calm down, Hank. And then it would stop. Knocking on the door every night, somebody knocking on the front door. We go there, nobody's out in the yard. So I grew up and we weren't afraid of it. That's the funny thing. We weren't afraid of it. It was almost just like somebody that lived there with us that we just didn't see, but they were there with us all the time. So I think that's fun. And if anybody else has any ghost stories or anything, send them in. I love talking about that stuff. That's fun and interesting.
Definitely.
And I think I think Firewater has some.
Yeah, and if you have those ghost stories and you want to send them in, paranormaltrucker@yahoo.com is the way that you can send those in. You'll remain anonymous unless you tell us we can say your name. But send them in. We would love to talk about them. This is starting to become a one-side science fiction show. We want this to be more of a paranormal genre, everything. So let us know. Back to you, Firewater.
Yeah, I think I already told you guys the one over in at the Springboro, right?
Yeah. The one where it was a very large house, and you kind of helped them out with their maintenance and stuff.
Yeah. And then I think I told you guys the one about the one in Piqua too, no? Piqua, Ohio.
I know where Piqua is, and I know where Springboro both are.
I don't think you told us about Piqua.
No, I don't think about Piqua. I don't think so.
That's the one where my two young ones were playing with ghost kids.
No, you didn't tell us that, but
that doesn't sound familiar. Ooh, sounds good. Let's hear it.
Yeah, the old house we lived in Piqua when we were moving in, it has had the old coal trough in the front of the house. So down in the basement, they have the old troughs where you just shovel your coal in. Mm-hmm. They had the old coal furnaces. I didn't tell you guys that one.
No, I don't think
so. No.
Oh,
we've heard the Springboro story. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, this one here, we were moving in, and I was taking stuff down in the basement on the day of the move-in, and the kids were upstairs playing. They were young. I think my daughter was 6 or so, 7 maybe, and my son was 5, I think. So they were upstairs in their room unpacking stuff, and I was down in the basement taking stuff down, and the door slammed shut. So I just thought it was the kids playing around, and I went to open up that basement door to get out, and it was like it was stuck. I'm like, what the hell? So I finally got it open, and there wasn't nothing there. So I finished doing all that, went upstairs, asked the kids why they were playing with the door, and it's like, well, we weren't doing nothing. We've been up here the whole time. I'm like, well, so they were talking about how they were playing with a couple of kids their age, and there was nobody on that block that there was their age. When we moved in there was only like maybe a couple of teenagers, and that was it. So I know they wasn't talking about them, and just let it go, and didn't think nothing else of it. And then a few weeks went by. They were out in the backyard playing, and it was getting close to evening. I told them it was time to come in, and they said they were outside playing with their friends. I'm like, there's nobody out here. I don't see nobody. So I told them, I said, go ahead and play for a few more minutes. And then I went back out there, and you could see like real faint apparitions playing around with the kids. So I told them real quick to get in the house. And because it was almost dark, it was like right that in between. And as they were running towards the back door, those kids that they were playing with was coming towards the door, with them. And then they just disappeared.
Wow.
But the whole time we lived there, there was always stuff being moved around. You always hear giggling or laughing, or, they were just playing. You know what I mean?
Well, they say kids' energy is so much stronger than adult, and that's why they attach to children, because they get so much energy from children. Oh, that's so interesting.
That is. And I was looking back at our emails here, and just because I don't want to be a terrible host here, and I do have the story from the Aaron Wright house, and I've got the background information from where your sister had passed, and
I want to talk to Snowman about that. Yeah, because I remember he had made a comment and a suggestion about how my son, because we were talking about transfer of power,
Mhm.
or transfer of the gift. And I liked how Snowman answered that, because it makes sense, because he was talking about how he may have already had it. It was just it was a traumatic experience had to happen for it to waken up in him.
For that to come out. And and that's pretty cool that I don't have any gifts.
Yes, you
I don't
do.
have any gifts.
Yes, you
You
do.
do.
know,
You got the sixth
It's
sense.
just it's just
Craft,
that's pretty cool.
models.
If somebody has that sensitivity to actually, they might, who knows, they might be able to answer questions for the world, because they've got an ability that not everybody else has. Just like Marge, she's more sensitive to things than I am,
Right.
and the little home that we rented when you and I lived over there in Pikeville, I know that house was haunted.
Yeah.
I had seen shadows in that hallway. The dogs would just stop and just stare at the hallway. I know there was something, and I always kind of thought it was a child. Don't know why, but Marge would come over and she would tell me. She said, "I feel something, and it's all around this hallway, and probably those stairs that's going up into the attic."
It was children. It felt like little kids
And
running up and down them steps.
and like I said, I never physically saw anything. I saw some shadows move. Other than that, that was it. But and just the dogs would stop what they were doing and just stop and stare at the hallway.
And their height sensitivity, they
Yes.
could pick that stuff up.
And like I said, I don't have a gift like that. I just think it's pretty cool that people, because now if something jumps out in front of me, yeah, okay, I can see it, and I always thought, well, if I ever saw a ghost, whatever, would I get tore up? No.
It happens so fast.
It doesn't really bother me or weird me out. Like I said, what was it, 2 years ago? Or was it last year? I can't remember how long ago
I
it
don't
was.
know.
What
are you talking about?
When I saw the guy in the chair.
Oh, that's gonna be a year ago.
Yeah. And
If that.
woke up, TV blaring, and I looked down the hallway, and here's some guy sitting in the recliner watching TV.
That happened right here at the house.
And that happened here. And
wow.
and I kind of jerked my pants on and run down the hallway, and there was nobody in here.
Oh wow.
But I turned everything off that night before I went to bed, and it woke me up at 5 o'clock. I mean, the volume was all the way up, and had Fox News on. They were blaring and talking. But when I looked down in here, there was a guy sitting in the chair, and I mean, it was just long enough for me to grab my pants, pull my pants on, and took off down the hallway.
Because this was in the middle of the night. We woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
It was 5 is when that was.
5
It
o'clock
woke
in
me
the
up at
morning.
5.
Well, now when I went to college, one of the things that they told me when I took
Psychology.
Yes, psychology. Thank you. And one of the things they told us, which I thought was interesting, is if you dream in color, which I do, if you dream in color, that you actually have a sixth sense. You just don't know how to use it. You have to hone the skill and learn how to use it. I mean, when I go to sleep at night, it's like watching movies. I watch the whole things and I can remember them the next day, and it's just like it really happened. They're so real, it's not funny.
Well, that's strange. I always thought everyone dreamed in color. I didn't realize that was.
No.
I didn't until I had that stroke.
And that's
vivid.
Again, going back to that traumatic experience that kind of unlocks your abilities. And I don't want to make light of the situation, but if you look at every superhero movie, they have a traumatic experience or something that happens to them before they get these extra gifts. So you have to wonder if that's kind of like a little bit of truth kind of sprinkled in with some fiction, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
But I never. Well, speaking back to sleeping and doing seeing stuff when you're sleeping. I did something stupid the other night. You should never drink and drive. You should never sleep and drive. You should never text and drive. You should never sleep and shop on Amazon, apparently, because I ordered a ukulele at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I had been asleep for 4 hours. So I didn't know that I had been.
Ukulele. A
Yeah.
ukulele, that's awesome.
Did you order your Hawaiian shirt to go with it?
I know.
I
You
just have
need
a
a shirt
Hawaiian
now.
shirt. Yeah,
You
I
need a
ordered.
shirt.
Well, no, the only way I figured it out was I was at work and I got a ding on my phone for an email that said that your package is on the way. And I'm like, what package? So I looked it up and I had ordered a ukulele and a ukulele for beginners book. And I was like, when the hell did I do that?
Oh, Lord.
Well, in your downtime, now we know what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to learn it.
That's
Driving
too
that-
funny.
He'd be driving that truck, be sitting there on his downtime, out the truck stop, singing Hawaiian songs, playing that ukulele.
Don't think for a
Send
second I
pictures.
won't.
Yeah, yeah, you have 10 pictures.
Send pictures.
Don't think for a second I won't. I think it'll be, it'll be fun. I always like, whenever I like chill out, I find myself listening to island music anyway. So I mean, why not? Why not learn it?
There you go.
I think it'd be interesting
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, it'd be real interesting, especially if you got musical talent like I got.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be awful.
Oh, and here's a trivia question. Kathy used to play in the marching band in high school. Guess what instrument she played? Oh, Marge did.
Yeah.
Marge.
All right. I know what mine is. I know what my pick is going to be. Firewater, what's your pick? The snowman already know, Marge?
I already know.
Snowman
Oh.
already knows, so he can't guess.
Mm.
I'm going to say trombone.
It was a trombone.
Oh, I was almost gonna
Yes,
say
I
tuba,
did.
but
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. I played trombone. And
I
I
was-
even played in the state band. I was pretty damn good.
Hell yeah. We can get a ukulele trombone band
There
going.
we go. I bet I could still play it if I got one. I bet I know how to read music.
Let's do it.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. He won't tell it, but he used to play trumpet.
Yeah, I did.
That was
Well,
pretty
there
good.
we go.
I did.
We'll get us a brass band together.
Oh, Lordy.
I would love to see my old music teacher from high school. He retired and moved to Florida, and I follow him on Facebook. And he's living the life. Like he's going to all these little like jazz bars and piano bars and stuff, and he just plays music. He's just retired and just enjoying life.
Well,
One
good
day
for
I'm
him.
gonna do that.
Good for him. I am doing that, ain't I? I'm doing that now. I'm retired. I'm a happy retiree.
Absolutely. All right, guys. What else we got to talk about? It's free form. Let's do it.
Let's see what oh, I learned something interesting the other night on watching Ancient Aliens.
What is it?
The word dog, they cannot find an origination for that word. Out of all the words in the English dictionary, that's the only word that they cannot find where it originated. English is combined, it came from a combination of German,
And
Latin, and Greek or something. I don't know. Three old languages is where English originated from. And the word dog in all of those other languages is nothing like DOG. It's something completely different. So they have no idea where the origination of the word dog came from.
You hear
I
that?
think that's interesting.
Do you hear that? You have no name. What do you think about that? If I ever had to go back on the road, like truck driving, it's going to be a pain, but he's going to have to go with me. The giant horse living in a box with me on the road.
yeah,
Oh, he would love it.
yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
would.
He would love
Don't
it.
have to go to that big truck.
I'd have
That
to
slop
spend
running down the side.
I'd spend $500 a week to clean the slobber off the side of it.
Yeah.
No doubt. Love the sport.
But yeah, like I said, that's there's just so much stuff that's aggravating me right now, and it's all political stuff, and I don't want to get into that. That's just
This is freeform. This will be the only time that you can
no,
get it.
no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I need to get on Joe Rogan or something to do that.
Oh,
You know?
okay. Well, we don't want to do that then. We're
No.
just getting started. We're not established yet.
It's just some of the stuff that's aggravating me. And like I said, listen to these books and reading. They've telegraphed this stuff that's happening right now,
Hmm.
and that's just and that's kind of what gets me about the whole thing is here they've done this research. These guys been talking about this stuff, and this is going on right now, and I'm sitting there thinking, how true is this stuff that we have people in the government or aliens in the government, is what they're calling them, that are running things, or Nazis, because that's basically what they said. The Nazis that went to Antarctica, Third Reich failed. They knew it wasn't going to work, so they said Fourth Reich. They were smart enough to infiltrate the governments, and it's running strong right now.
Yeah.
It's running everything. Because they didn't try to conquer the world, they took it over from the inside, and took control of the companies and things like that were doing the things they wanted done.
Well, and the show of force that forced Truman's hand in the 50s. Was it Truman forced his hand in the 50s to sign some kind of treaty?
Some kind of treaty, because they overflew Washington.
Yeah.
I think two or three
They
times.
said Eisenhower did too, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, Eisenhower was supposed to have actually landed at an Air Force base, or not Wright-Patterson, but Edwards Air Force Base out in California, and the aliens came and met with him, and basically he, they told him what supposedly happened was, this is what we're going to do, and you ain't going to do nothing about it.
Firewater.
And that's kind of what's kept, that's why the UFO, they're denying everything.
Firewater. You lived up by Springboro and Piqua, right?
Yeah, before I moved to Florida, I lived in Troy, Ohio, but I grew up and went to school in Middletown.
Okay. Then, so all the stories. I mean, I grew up in northern Kentucky. I knew the stories that there were little green men up at
Wright-Patt Air Force. Wright-Patt Air Force. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just common knowledge all around up through there. People don't even really talk about it too much anymore. It is.
Yeah. I had a boss. I used to work at Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City. And I had a boss that was still active on the weekends, in the Air Force. And he went to Wright-Patt Air Force Base. That's where he would do his thing at. And he said that there's a big, huge underground facility there at Wright-Patt. And there's all kinds of stuff going on down there. And we're talking alien stuff.
Yeah, supposedly that's where the Roswell stuff got sent, right?
Yes.
Well, and I think Wright-Patt is more along the lines of a research and development facility than a typical Air Force base.
Yeah, he said that there was all kinds of stuff transferred over there from Roswell.
Well, the exciting thing is that we are, and I need to work the details out with you guys, but we are going to the air show at Dayton this year.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we can kind of talk to some of the museum folks that's right there on the Air Force Base.
Maybe try to do a podcast up there.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
I emailed the people putting the air show on to see if we could kind of see if we could do some stuff while we're at the air show. Still haven't got anything back. I'm assuming they're going to say no, but never hurts to ask. So we're going to try that. And even if it doesn't, even if they won't let us, we can always go live on location. You know what I mean? So
Right.
we'll get some stuff going. But that's just I can't wait to get up there. I haven't been up there in so many years, and I look forward to that air show every year.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And like I said,
I've never been to the air show. I've been to Right Pad a million times, but I've never been to the air show.
and we've not been to the right pat, and
I haven't
gosh,
been in a long time.
it's probably been 10, 15 years, I'd say.
No, it's been 2016 is the last time I went.
Oof.
Last time you went,
Last time you and I both went.
I don't remember that, but okay.
It was
Well,
the year. It was the year. It
but
was the
still,
year Mom passed, and we went that summer because that's also the time that I told my boss to shove it because he wouldn't let me have that time off.
Take this job and shove it.
Well, and that's another thing that I want to say. If so many times supervisors, and I don't the place that I work for right now, don't think that I'm saying this about that place because I love the place that I work for right now. But in the past, I have had places where I work where the supervisors or the management or whatever will treat you as if you are just the help and that you should be grateful to be there. And yes, the paycheck is nice. However, the term "don't bite the hand that feeds you" should go both ways. Yes, don't bite your manager's hand, because you want to keep your job, but also your employees are who make you your money. So don't be dicks and stop that. Again, the place that I work for right now, if anybody there is watching it, I love where I work right now. I'm talking about jobs that I've had in the past that I have quit because the managers are complete jerks.
Right.
Yeah.
A true manager takes care of his employees.
Well, and the most
And
recent
he's
one that
only as good as the people that work for him.
yeah, the most recent incident that I had was the guy's son worked there, and he wanted. I'm pretty sure it was just he
That
wanted.
was bad.
Yeah, he just wanted him to be full time, and he kind of screwed me over. He took some information, some concerns that I had, thinking that I was talking to a friend and a manager, and he kind of used that against me in the long run. But it is what it is, Again,
It turned out the right way.
I think so. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without it.
That's right.
So it's really a blessing.
It is a blessing. You have to look at
Yeah.
that stuff like that as a blessing.
Yeah, you always look at when one door closes, there's another one open. You
Oh,
just
sure.
gotta be ready to walk through it.
Yeah, and it is what it is. There's no hard feelings between that manager and I. I've forgiven him in my heart because it's what good people do. But that, just like I said, that's just kind of something that's been heavy on my mind here the last little bit is don't bite the hand that feeds you should go both ways.
Yeah,
Right.
That's right.
yeah, because like I said, and right now, you know, just the way things have been, you know, that's why you're having a supply chain shortage.
Sure.
Everybody got laid off because everybody was scared to death of the pandemic because they made such a big issue out of it that they were scared to death. And now, they got paid to not work, and now they're
Right.
figuring out ways to not work. That kind of goes back to what I was saying there. If we had the Star Trek thing, you got to have people, got to give them some incentive to get out and do what needs to be done because we need people to keep the lights on, people keep the potholes out of the roads, and stock your grocery shelves.
Mhm.
It's just and right now they're just having a hard time doing that because first off they can't get their stuff,
Right.
and and that falls back to everything else. What I do, it's all raw materials. These companies shut down over the pandemic, and now they can't get people to come back to do their job.
Right.
And and it starts at the basic stuff because what we do is mined out of the ground, just like coal or anything else. The products that they make out of that, and if people aren't doing their part, then that backs everything up, which is what's happening now. It'll probably take them a good year to get fired back up where they need to be.
Well, it could possibly take longer too.
It could.
You know,
Well, you
I-
gotta look, that happens in a wave. You get the first one fired up, and finally, you got to fire up the distribution part of it. Now they're back up to full capacity. Now your distribution is going to be shorthanded because all of a sudden they're at full capacity and you're not. So then we have to get that built back up, and it trickles down to the consumer. It's going to take a little while to get here.
Right. Well, and that goes back, that goes into every industry. The transportation industry is no different.
It's in all of it. You know,
With
I'm not just talking about the paint we use. I'm talking about
The road to the door.
about food, you know, your toiletries. What the hell's wrong with? Why can we not get toilet paper? You know, that's it's stuff like that. You know, we shop. You go to Walmart or go to the dollar store, and you're lucky to find a pack of toilet paper. You know,
That's because they don't want us to have it.
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and like I
Exactly
say,
it.
that kind of goes back to the transportation industry as well, where you're talking that they keep saying there's a driver shortage. Well, why don't you look at why there is a driver shortage? You've
Yeah, right.
regulated these drivers now. They're regulated more than airline pilots. Every time that that truck pulls onto the road, there's always a DOT sniffing around wanting to write that truck for something. Even if you just pulled your truck and trailer off the showroom floor, brand new, everything is perfect, they will find something to write that truck for, just because that's money being sent to that agency. That's where a lot of your supply chain issues are coming into, because we've regulated the transportation industry so much now. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for a lot of these drivers to get out here and spend $600 for a set of front tires only. One front tire to have put on at a Love's truck stop is $600. I've been there. I've paid that $600 when I own my own trucks. If you outfit 10 tires just on your tractor, you're looking at over $3,000, $4,000 just to have good rubber on your vehicle. That doesn't include oil changes or your brakes or anything else. That's just the running of the truck. Now you move to cosmetics. Those trucks, the hoods are fiberglass on them. Eventually they're going to crack and break. And that just looks bad. That's more for your DOT to say, oh, that truck's probably got some stuff wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if that hood was cracked, that's probably a fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing. Again, you going back to these the inflation, the fuel cost, the fuel cost, maintenance costs, everything like that is so outrageous now. It's hard for the small trucker to make it. Again, I guess it's cheaper for these big conglomerate truck transportation groups, your Swifts and your Walmarts and whoever else to run these trucks and pay the drivers nothing. And then you still have.
What is it they did to the truckers in California? The truck can't be more than 10 years old or something.
I think it's something crazy like that, and that's why you have a lot of supply chain issues there as well. Because if you have a truck that's not California approved, you either can't go in, or you have to buy a permit to go in, and you're only allowed like 1,000 miles anywhere in the state or 3 days. So you have to get in and get out. It's really crazy. California has really kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they don't understand it yet.
Well, we're all open down here in Florida.
Yeah, and that's why we love Florida.
That's because you have DeSantis. We love DeSantis.
Yeah, I can't wait.
DeSantis,
I do too. I think he'd make a great president, but I'm so scared what we would have if we didn't have him here.
Yeah,
I know. I love DeSantis.
Is it true? Is there any truth to Trump and DeSantis running in 2024?
I don't think
I haven't heard, but
well,
they are really good friends.
I kind of heard that Trump was going to make a run for it with DeSantis.
I think there's a law that you can't have the president and vice president from the same state.
Well, he's from New York, though.
Well, no, he lives in Florida.
But he has a mailing address in New York.
But his residence is in Florida. So
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I think that's a thing you can't. So they probably couldn't run as running mates or whatever.
Well, that's bull crap.
But he is a private citizen now.
Yeah, but I'm
That's true.
thinking they still can't be from the same state. He can't go and
Oh,
his residence in Florida. He can't say, the Ron Sanders, you want to be
Alexa.
vice president.
Can the president and vice president be from the same state? Alexa.
I think I'm.
We have an
Did
assistant.
you unplug Alexa?
I did.
Oh, I love Alexa.
We have an
We
assistant.
have
Her
a
name is
love-hate
Alexa.
relationship.
Yeah. Well, they'll ask a question to Alexa, and Alexa don't give them the right answer, and then Alexa gets cussed, so she don't answer sometimes.
We have our assistant. Her name is Alexa. Sometimes she gets moody.
Yeah.
Well, guys, have we got anything else to talk about in this free-form episode?
I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything right now.
uh-uh.
I mean, I could probably go and rant, but I don't want to.
I want to hear more ghost stories.
All right. So if you got,
Well, I can't see it from this camera, but my wife collects a bunch of these Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls. And if you do recall that the original Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yes.
And the other night, or actually the other morning, she got up and found two of the dolls laying on the floor. And we don't have anybody here that would be able to knock them down from the top part of the wall.
Oh.
We got one of those cubby holes up in the between
Yes.
the roof and the or the ceiling and the wall there. And one of them from back there, two of them from back there was laying on the floor one morning when we got up.
Oh,
Wow.
So I don't know if any of
How's
those are
that
possessed or
happen,
not.
right?
Annabelle's cousins.
There you got Annabelle's cousins living with you. Dang it.
well, like I said, last year when all that stuff was going on, the pantry closet over here every day would
Just all of a sudden
just
open
all of a
up.
sudden open up, and I changed the lock. I changed the doorknob on it
Doorknob.
because I thought that I just popping. It's old. I changed the door. Still keeps doing it. And it did it there for what, a good month and a half, something like
Yeah,
that.
then it quit.
Then it quit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And but now here in the last couple of days though, I've noticed I'd be coming in the morning and it popped open. It's opened up. So I don't know if it's starting again. I haven't seen it.
I don't know.
Just found it. But like I said, we've not really had any.
We have little things like that happen around here all the time. Things that you don't even pay attention to anymore. Just the craziest stuff.
Yeah, and then we had Sam the lab last year, and I'm pretty sure that either he went through a portal or I got caught in a time bubble and lost a few seconds because he ran behind a job trailer over here on the property where our place is at, and it was just like 1001. He come out over here on the left side, which was, I don't know, 400 or 500 feet away in that amount of time. And I said, there's no way this dog is that fast. So either I lost some time or he went through a portal and that's where he come out at. And that was the weirdest thing I've seen.
I believe it.
But he's the watchdog over here. He keeps everything out of the holler. So.
Oh, nice.
But that was really weird.
Wow.
very cool story. Actually, there was one on, there was a similar thing on TikTok. It actually showed the dog chasing someone. She went behind a tree, and the next second, the dog pops out to the left of the camera. It wasn't behind the little girl anymore.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and like I said, that was, for me, there was no way that dog, he could have ran that fast and me not seeing him.
My favorite thing on video is if you ever seen Gettysburg when they show the soldiers marching like at the tree line. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
You can YouTube it. I watched that on a show one day. I want to go to Gettysburg so bad.
That'd be a good time.
Yeah.
I never been there, and I've heard it so haunted there.
And which we have a battlefield close to us, Civil War battlefield, and they say it's on.
Yeah, Middle Sport,
Yeah.
Middle Creek.
and they say it's close to us, and it's supposed to be haunted. I'd like to go.
We should go
We'll do
over
it.
there and podcast live.
Yeah.
And do like
There
a
you go.
ghost hunters thing.
Oh,
Listen,
We
I
got,
already have
we got more ghost hunter stuff. Snowman ordered us EVP and a VBD or CDC or
what
something.
some of them alphabets we
One
got,
of them alphabet things. It's pretty exciting.
and and yeah, we were going to go on a ghost hunt, and then we had some issues.
We had COVID.
Yeah, well, we had some issues come up with because Diesel came to stay with us for a while,
Oh, that's right.
and we tried to leave him over here for a night while we were going to ghost
Right.
hunt, so we didn't actually get to go.
Right.
I was
the
looking forward to that. That would have been fun.
oh yeah, that'd been a lot of fun. I'm not a big ghost hunter fan. I've got a bad enough juju going on in my life. I don't need to
I
bring
do, I
something
love it.
home.
I need to burn some sage around you. You coming over here tomorrow? Because I need to burn some sage around you.
That sounds good.
I keep sage in the bedroom.
Yeah, she's
All right.
that's her Native American side coming out. This bad stuff goes on and whips out the sage.
Pull out sage. It helps. It does. It cleanses your spirit.
Yeah, I definitely need it.
Oh, it's right. Super Bowl tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't get to watch it. I have to get up early the next morning, so I will be long in bed before that game ends.
God, I hope the Bengals win.
Yeah.
Very cool.
For my
Yeah.
friends and that, they're all big fans.
A few years ago, I lived in Charlotte when, God, what's their team down there? Panthers, when they made it to the Super Bowl and they lost to the Seahawks, and it was a big, big letdown for the city.
I know it'll be big if Cincinnati loses.
yeah.
They'll be devastated.
Well,
But I think everybody's excited to get to that far. I mean, it's been since 1989.
Yeah.
Right.
So
even just to make it to the Super Bowl is a big accomplishment.
Bengals, Bengals, Who
Well,
Day,
it's
Who
a
day?
Who Day.
it's a it's going to be a regional game. That's a regional team for this area. 'Cause we're not next to a big city. Cincinnati is a big town. That's what 3.5 hours away.
Yeah, buddy.
But that's
Where the
that's,
lights are, all the big lights in the city.
that's right.
Not up the holler up here.
And so that's kind of everybody's team that they're rooting for.
We see them big lights and we all get excited.
Yeah.
Then we got to put our shoes on. Yeehaw!
Yeah, we're from the sticks. If everybody didn't know.
Proud of it. Darn proud of it.
It's that I don't want to give them that. We've got internet and indoor plumbing, so
There you go.
we're
We sure do.
up to- with the-
We're
with
living in
the-
high
That's right.
Doggy.
It just
Wee
the only
doggy.
difference between everybody else in this country, except for maybe people in the Midwest, out in the northern country and Montana, where they've got miles and miles of wilderness, is it just takes us a little longer to get where we're going.
Yep,
There you go.
it definitely
And
does.
if you got a car that runs.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for tonight.
I think it was a great show. Thank
I
you
think it
so
was a
much,
very good
Firewalk.
show. We
Well,
want
thanks for
to-
having me.
Definitely
We
want to thank
loved
you
it.
all for being a guest on tonight, and continue those emails, sir. They are fantastic. They're the highlight of our week, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you have a ghost
don't
story,
get
or, if you have a ghost story or anything that you would like to share with us, paranormaltrucker@yahoo.com is the way you can get in contact with us. And we would love to hear from you. Again, we'll keep your name anonymous unless you just want us to tell it. And we would love to hear some ghost stories, because we're quickly becoming a science fiction show, and we want to bring in some more stuff. So
Yeah.
I believe that's going to do it for us for this week. Until next time, guys, keep the shiny side up, keep between the lines. What are some of my other sayings? Bunch of other stuff, trucker things. We'll see you next time, guys.
And tell them Large Marge sent you.